Good morning folks, Ken Ring of www.predictweather.com. It's the 26th of April, the moon is in Virgo, moving into Libra, and there it is there when it's at its highest point, and it's making its way even higher because it's in the southern hemisphere and it's going to be at its highest point soon. It's crossing the equator, heading south. Well, it crossed the equator yesterday, heading south, and so it's bringing warmer air southwards. That's what it's doing, and that's called the declination. So just hold that thought, that it's bringing the warmer air down from areas north of New Zealand. It's bringing it southwards. When the moon's in the phase that it's in at the moment, by phase we mean, from the full moon to the new moon and back again. It's the moon that we see in the sky, the shape that we see. It's between first quarter and full moon, and that's called waxing gibbous. They have these old names for these in-between phases as well. And it rises at 3 p.m. and it sets at 3 a.m., which means that the moon is out of the sky in the early hours of the morning, when it's the coldest anyway. There's always been the saying that it's the coldest in the hour before dawn. Well, yes, because that's the furthest point from when the sun's in the sky. So you've got the moon way below the horizon because of being in Libra, even further taking the air tide out than it normally does, and that means it lets in a lot of colder air from space at that time, more so than normally. Plus you have warmer day conditions because the moon's coming down from the north, bringing that warmer air, warms the ground. So therefore that colder air, that huge chunk of colder air coming in from space, because of the air tide being out, it meets the warmer ground, and that produces fogs because the condensation of that warmer air closer to the ground, by that colder air that's coming down. Well, you'll find that in the entry for the almanac on page 189, for April the 25th, you'll find the word just there. I don't know if you can see that, and it says fogs. And tragically, that proved fatal because there was a helicopter crash this morning, on the morning of the 25th, in the Wellington area due to fog, killing 3 people. They were Air Force people in an Iroquois helicopter. Now, you can verify what I'm saying in terms of the fact that this phase of the moon is the maximum time for the chance of having fogs, and you can Google all the moon phases one by one. So just go, waning gibbous, first crescent fogs, first quarter fogs, last quarter fogs, and waxing gibbous fogs, and just note how many search results, jump up for each of those entries. Well, I did it this morning. There was 6,000 for waning gibbous, there's 21,000 for waxing crescent, 25,000 for waning crescent, 55,000 for last quarter moon fog, 58,000 for first quarter moon fog, and a whopping 360,000 search results for waxing gibbous fog on Google. Now, I know that's not very scientific, but hey, the usual position of science is to rubbish anything to do with the moon anyway. So science isn't really going to give you any unbiased answers there. They don't even seem to realize where science came from in the first place, which was through Arabic and Indian and Chinese and Persian and Greek mathematics, as well as Hebrew traditions thrown in there as well, which were all to do with the moon, and it's all stuff they've been trying to move away from for the last couple of thousand years. Anyway, there could be a few more mornings yet with fog around where there are sources of water like harbours and estuaries and lakes and rivers and dams, and especially around hills which trap the cold air anyway, and the Wellington area is pretty notorious for that. Well, did this helicopter tragedy event ever happen before in New Zealand? Well, yes, Actually, it did exactly 38 years ago. 38 years is 2 lots of 19, which is 2 exact moon cycles. And that was the day of the New Zealand Air Force's only other Iroquois helicopter crash, and it was on the 27th of April 1972, again a waxing gibbous moon. So my advice is, don't go flying in those early hours of the morning around about this particular phase of the moon. I only wish that the aviation industry knew about the effects that the moon can bring, and possibly, one day we will have a situation where there will be that knowledge, and pilots will be able to take care because of the notion of the moon causing the weather and bringing fogs at particular times. I'm sorry to have to speak of today's blog coming off a very, very tragic event, but I really did want to point that out to people just because it might be helpful in the future to some others. Thanks for watching.